Grab some coffee, a Mountain Dew, maybe both. A storm is brewing. The Brainstorm. Welcome to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike.
Welcome to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. We're having a great day, and we're excited about this show. I know we have talked a lot about marketing strategies and business strategies, and give me some of the other topics, Mike, that we've talked about.
Yeah, just pretty much how to grow your business, how to grow a team, how to create a culture, and lots of other network marketing. There's a lot of
hiring
things
process.
That we touched on.
Yeah,
that's right. How to set goals, what it looks like for a retailer during the holiday season.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Some of the tactics that work really well, how to measure those outcomes. Right. And so we got that and lots more to come.
That's right. And so you can go to thebrainstormradio.com and download our podcast. Listen to us live on the radio at 100.7 The Point, or stream it from that website at makethepointradio.com. And so again, I'm here with my business partner and colleague, Michael White. And Mike, we have a really great guest on the show today. Pretty fun. I've been to dinner with he and his wife multiple times, and we go in for an hour dinner and we walk out about 3.5 hours later. Miller Robinson. Miller, welcome to the Brainstorm.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Miller, Mike, as you know, is a client of ours and been a friend of ours for multiple years now, and has grown his business, small business owner. Small business classified on a national level, Mike, is what's that number?
It's pretty wide range. I mean, I think the SBA would classify small business as anything from 0 to 500 employees. So
500 employees.
500 employees is a lot of people. It doesn't seem that small to me.
Me either.
But I guess by their standards, it is.
So Miller, don't get
that sounds like a major corporation to me.
Right, exactly.
I was like, Miller, don't get depressed when I call you a small business. You know?
Right.
I mean,
we're not quite 500 people.
Right. So when you are, then you can, out of humility, you could say, oh, hey, we're just a small business for 495 people.
That's right.
Right. Exactly. Well, Miller Robinson is the sole proprietor of Premier Roofing, and a roofing company here, been in operation for quite some time. Miller, tell us about kind of the roofing industry and the roofing business right now. And of course, I know you're located here in the Midlands of South Carolina. So tell us what's going on in the roofing industry here in this area.
Well, the roofing industry here in the Columbia market for us is phenomenal. We've had a fantastic year. We're probably up over 30% compared to last year, revenue-wise. The market itself is doing well. Obviously, the roofing business is also predicated upon weather events. Yeah. And with us, we haven't really had that many this year. So we've built our business not just around weather, but also around the retail market, and done a very good job of branding ourselves in the Columbia area. So our business continues to grow every year where we're not just having to rely on weather. And a lot of our competitors and a lot of roofing companies do rely on weather. And fortunately with us, we don't. But overall, the market as well, just because we branched out to different markets other than just tragedies or catastrophe from hurricanes and those types of things. Right. But they do help us.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, don't get me wrong. When a storm comes through, our phones don't stop. You've witnessed that before.
Yeah, that's true.
Hurricane Matthew came through, 2 years ago, and we could hardly answer the phones.
Yeah.
So, so right now the market's great. I don't know if that's the same for some of our competition that might just be waiting on those weather events, and fortunately we don't need to.
Yeah. That's a very good point about weather, and there's a lot of types of businesses and other industries that is dependent on some type of outside source to increase their business. Weather being certainly one of them. HVAC, for example.
Right. HVAC companies love 100-degree temperatures.
Absolutely. In the summer.
And negative 20.
That's right.
Yeah, business of extremes.
And if it breaks, they're going to fix it.
Absolutely.
That's right. If somebody's roof leaks, they're calling us.
That's right. Yeah. So when the weather-related items and issues do happen, obviously it's good, because when do you know your roof leaks? when there's water coming through it, right?
Yeah, most homeowners don't pick up the phone and just say, you know what, I want to change my HVAC out today, or, you know, I just don't like the color of that roof. I'm going to call a roofing company and change that roof out.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
They wait till it fails.
A little more pain before before they do it.
So in your business, Miller, talk to me about like pitfalls and like kind of roadblocks that are not just hurting your business or would cause you hiccups, if you would, in your business, but the industry as a whole. Are there any roadblocks or pitfalls in your industry?
Certainly, I think there's roadblocks or pitfalls in any industry. But on the roofing side, unfortunately, a lot of homeowners nowadays believe or have heard from one of their homeowners or neighbors that their roof's been replaced for winter or hail from a weather event. So they've got in their mind that they've got damages. And quite often somebody will work that neighborhood, mention them, file a claim, never climb their roof, and an adjuster shows up there and denies the claim. So some of our biggest roadblocks are when a homeowner does have damage and you've got a tight insurance carrier and you meet them out there and they deny the claim. And now that homeowner's got a black eye with their insurance carrier. So
how often does something like that happen?
Happens quite often.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, unfortunately, with most roofing companies, they are what we call storm chasers, and that's what they rely on, or adjusters to approve claims for them. So it's just a numbers game. Whereas for us, that's not what we rely on. We would prefer it to be a retail roof where they're not relying on their insurance carrier, and we're not meeting an adjuster out there. So, but that's our biggest issue. It happens probably, just in Columbia alone, I don't know how many claims are filed. I have to assume there's probably, with all the different carriers just on roofs, it's probably 200 to 300 a week.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. Of those 200 to 300, I would tell you probably more than 30 to 40% are denied.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's
I
a lot.
had no idea.
It's a lot. It really is.
You were talking about weather, and I guess, Mike, the first thing that comes to my mind when Miller was talking about weather is rain.
Right.
But what about like the dead of the summer? Like I know that a lot of the heat just from just older roofs just take a pounding from just dead sun.
They do.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about that as
so
well.
The heat,
non-rain weather.
Right. So the heat in Columbia, South Carolina is extremely high in the summer. You're talking, 100-degree temperatures at times. Well, that's 100 degrees on the ground.
Yeah.
That roof is asphalt. So it's about 110 or 115 on that roof.
Wow.
And to the touch of your hand on a black roof in the middle of the summer, you can't touch it. You got to wear gloves. And what it does, it wears that roof out over time, and it creates a lot of granule loss that makes the roof very, very slick, ages prematurely. And, as we do have some weather later with all the granule loss that's laying in their gutters or on their driveway, when it does rain, they'll see all the granules come off the roof and laying on the ground. They pick up the phone and call us, say, hey, I'm just noticing all kinds of granule loss in my yard or in my gutters or my downspouts. So that creates a lot of calls for us just due to the temperatures. And these 20-year-old roofs in Columbia, South Carolina, unfortunately, if you get 15 years, you've done good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've done good.
Yeah, and I think we probably, being here where we're located, we probably have a lot more of that type of weather, just really, really hot, than in other areas, right? And so in other areas, it's, you have, I guess we have a lot of rain and storms here too, wind here too, but it's just a lot of hot weather, just steaming on top of those roofs.
It really is.
And so you're saying that people will find that running off their roof in gutters and other things of that nature. Well, we're here talking with Miller Robinson, the sole proprietor of Premier Roofing, and he's going to fill us in on quite a bit having to do with the roofing business. So we will be back shortly. The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Welcome back to the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. We're here with Miller Robinson, the sole proprietor and business owner of Premier Roofing. Today's topic is taking an inside look into a real small business, and not real small, but a real small business,
right?
As opposed to a fictitious type of business, which Mike and I spend a lot of time on our show, kind of given hypothetical scenarios. And so I just want to make sure everybody knows we actually have a real person today and a real business model to talk about, which is exciting. Miller, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Mike, I know you had some questions for Miller in relation to his business.
Yeah, Miller,
talk to us about that.
So talk to me about kind of the origin of your business, the kind of the genesis of it, if you will, and what that journey has been like. Like when you founded the company, what led you down that path, and kind of take it from that infancy stage to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that really does take you back to memory lane. I remember the days of starting this company. Golly, now it's been almost 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And obviously we grew organically, and it was blood, sweat, and tears on my part as a business owner, just a small man. My wife didn't work with me at that point in time. I was basically chucking the truck.
Yeah.
And what I did was basically go out there and bang on some doors, and not homeowners doors, but the business doors, and try to get some referral business from the clients that I know that could refer me out.
Okay.
And I hit them all hard and worked diligently to build that name and give that trust with them. And they started referring me. And boy, when they did call you, you jumped on it immediately. Oh, yeah. And made sure you satisfied that homeowner and that person that referred you out. So we started organically. I remember when we first started, it was one roof a month, and and then it was one roof a week, and then as we continued to grow, we met Splash and Matt and Mike, and decided to dig into this thing a little bit further and understand a little bit more about marketing. We had tried a couple different companies, and things just weren't really moving and shaking, and we felt like we were just staying stagnant. Right. And Miller's not the kind of guy that's going to stay stagnant.
No,
so
getting to know Miller over the years, that's true.
Right, and then I'm Googling media companies at 1 o'clock in the morning when I can't sleep, and next morning I get a phone call from a guy named Matt Thompson, and
oh boy, and here we are.
And he's at my office the next morning, and I think we signed up within 2 hours, and here we go.
I remember that call.
Yeah, and that was multiple years ago.
Yeah, that was multiple years ago, and we were probably at, I don't know, 2 million. And this year we'll hit 6.5 million.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, I mean,
awesome.
it's really been a phenomenal growth, but you get to a certain point where organically you just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You've got to have a support team behind you, and thankfully we teamed up with Splash at the right time, and it's been a great partnership.
So talk about how your team has grown, and for us, I know that systems have to change as we grow. The things that worked before, we outgrow those. That's even
Absolutely.
software or just processes, and then
there's so many different processes and parts and pieces that you got to put in place as you grow. Miller Robinson used to sell, order, invoice, collect.
Yep.
Now I have somebody that does every bit of that for me,
right.
And there's a person for each position of that. So you get to those levels where you just can't do it anymore. And hiring the right people for that is difficult. And we've been through some, but I tell you, I was telling Matt earlier, we've got the best team in town now. And, I'm a big believer that you're only as good as the team that you're surrounded by.
I agree.
And I grew up in a sports environment and played sports and played baseball all through college, and we knew that we were only as good as the guys on the team, and the coaches that were teaching us. So I've always felt like I need to be the coach and then surround myself with team players, and that we all work on the same page, and we've done a really good job with that. We've got production managers now to office managers to foremen to superintendents to sales managers, and now we're even looking at hiring a general manager to come in.
Nice. So has it been a challenge for you? I know a lot of business owners, it's their baby, and they really struggle with letting go of certain activities because they just don't think the other people can do it as good as they can.
It's the hardest thing in the world to do is to let go. I owned it, sold it, hired it, and I did hire a sales manager recently, which was very difficult for me to let go of the sales, and I think he's done a phenomenal job, and I'm wanting to scale the company a little bit further now in different markets, and I'm meeting with a couple different people as a general manager to help me scale. That's what they've done in the past for large corporations, and we're considering that, but the hardest thing for me is to pull that trigger with the right person.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to make the wrong decision in a situation like that. But because growth can be difficult sometimes.
No doubt.
You've got to be staffed up for it. And because when growth comes, it can be a challenge. I know when we hired Splash On, our growth happened immediately, and it was difficult for us to staff it up.
Right.
And we've done that over time, but it takes time, and you got to go through some people, unfortunately, sometimes to
Yeah,
find
you
that
do.
right person. But right now, we've got a really good team.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Talking about your team, and we'll just kind of stay in that conversation. Tell me what not just your team, because you're right now you're blessed, right? And you've been in situations where you weren't as blessed.
That's right.
Tell me what the labor force looks like in your industry, and you can really speak on the fact of like the blue collar industry in general, the services based industries. I know that labor force seems to be really, really tough right now.
It's dwindling every year, especially the millennials. I mean, and the younger kids coming out of high school, unfortunately, they don't know how to do anything without a phone. And we have quite often, we have a now hiring sign that sits out in front of my office every day, and you'd be amazed of how many people ride by there that probably need a job in the construction industry and never fill out an application. It's just a shame. And then the ones that do, we'll ask them their experience, and I've done roofing before, and I've nailed on this, and I've platted valleys, and I've laid flashing around chimneys, and install pipe boots, and they go with us on one of our crews, and they don't have the furthest idea of how to nail a shingle.
Right.
And then we ask them, well, how did you learn that? Because you told the business owner that you knew how to do that. YouTube.
Yeah.
It's
Know it.
YouTube.
And YouTube's a great thing.
You can learn how to do anything
I mean,
on
don't get me
YouTube.
wrong, it's a great thing, but it's not a good thing with roofing. You need to be experienced with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I can understand that.
you really
But
do.
Yeah, in our last show, we talked a lot about video and
we sure
the
did.
use of YouTube and how people will just literally go and research it. And some of them become experts by doing it, and but you have to actually take what you watch and apply it in order to get some experience.
You
doing
do.
it.
That's right.
But it's our labor force is really shrinking, and I attribute it some to the schools. We were talking about that earlier, and these kids coming out of school now, and I'm saying high school, they're not being trained any type of construction trade. And I think it would be a huge benefit for some of these kids coming out of high school that if they learned a trade and mastered that trade as they grow and get older, they would do extremely well in the marketplace.
Even if they didn't do it professionally, just
Right.
having that knowledge.
Yeah. But if I'm correct, I believe workshop and the shop class has been taken out of high school. When I was in high school, we had shop class. We learned how to make a desk and build a house and frame and those type things and nail on a shingle. But I don't believe that's in the schools anymore, and that's the unfortunate side. And it's made it
so Miller,
difficult.
with that, with the dwindling workforce in the kind of the blue collar hands-on types of industries, tell us what that looks like in the future, like 20 years. Like, we feel it right now from an employer perspective. How does homeowners and consumers, the negative that today will apply 20 years from now when the workforce is half of what it is? You can't find a roofer, can't find a plumber, can't find an electrician.
Well, the cost is going to be 5 times what it is
Five
today.
times it has to be.
It is, because what you're paying those guys is going to be 3 times
Right.
what you should be paying them just to get them.
Supply and demand.
And it's almost that way
Because they'll
now.
be able to pick which jobs they go to,
Yeah.
and they'll go to the larger ones.
I mean, I don't know if I could hire anybody just for a laborer to even come over to us that would be interested in just being a laborer for less than $15 an hour.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. And but skilled guys now, I mean, in my industry is probably minimum $25 an hour to get them.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure what the future holds. I'm really concerned.
Yeah.
And what that means for the consumer or the homeowner that's purchasing that product, they're going to pay a lot more for it, or they're probably going to have some unskilled people out there that aren't quite sure what they're installing, and they're going to get a poorly installed product, unfortunately. I'm afraid of that if things don't change.
Yeah.
This country is savvy, though. I feel like we'll figure it out, hopefully. I mean, we've got to.
There's some ebb and flows there.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're not just going to sit and watch, as a government, as a people, as a workforce, we're not just going to sit and watch whatever is going on right now can't be what's going to continue to go on. There'll have to be some fixes, right?
Right.
And everybody will have to figure it out.
And with the rising cost of 4-year college is, it's expensive today. So hopefully it will inspire some to really reconsider their future. And just there's a lot of people that are wired and designed to go throw their work boots on, and that's where they're going to find their passion and their joy. And it sounds like they can make a good living at the same time doing it.
So they can, absolutely. Yeah. And, even our staff, I feel like everybody with us makes a pretty good living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really do. They're comfortable, and hopefully that will continue on.
Yeah,
but
that's important.
It's very important,
Yeah.
And
what I like about your staff, Mill, is every time I come in there, everybody is having a good time, right?
Oh, yeah.
They enjoy working there. They enjoy the culture that you have enabled it to create it for itself. And they look like they're really enjoying what they're doing. And so you've done a good job with that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've always said if you can't laugh and cut up, especially in the construction industry,
Yeah.
It's you better make light of the situation, because let's face it, I tell every homeowner that we sell a roof to, get prepared. Okay, this is major construction. We're getting ready to tear your house to pieces and put it all back together very, very quickly and leave here like we've never been here before.
Isn't that amazing?
But during that process, it's very, very difficult for them to understand.
Yeah.
So we alert them of that, hey, I'm taking this thing apart and putting it back quickly.
Yeah.
But
what's the average time length on something
depends
like
on
that?
the size of the job, but 2 to 3 days.
2 to 3
Okay.
days.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And I guess you take it off in kind of sections in order for people to be
depending
able
on the size of it. Like we got weather coming tomorrow, we'll take a portion off, put it back, and dry it in today. Yeah,
That's very interesting. I look forward to. We're going to dive deeper into that in just a second, because I want to hear more about that. From a marketing perspective, we don't know much about that. You're listening to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Welcome back to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Today's show and today's topic is diving deep, an inside look at real small business. Not real small, but real small business with a good friend of ours and client, Miller Robinson, the owner of Premier Roofing. Has been a client of ours now for a number of years, and we love talking with Miller. And thanks for joining us on the show today, Miller.
Yeah, man, glad to be here.
Absolutely. Hey, earlier we were talking about coming in, and it is a major job to put a new roof on a house, and you're telling homeowners all the time, hey, listen, this is a big construction project when we lift off the entire roof of your house and replace it, and it's kind of a whirlwind of activity. So when you're working with homeowners and the number of jobs that you do, there's a significant number of homeowners and a significant difference in personalities, right? And so every
personality is different.
Every personality is different. So talk to me about dealing with all of that and the different personalities and training your people too, and just you inside. How do you consistently provide the very best in customer service when you're dealing with all those different personalities?
Well, let me preface this by saying we're not perfect,
right?
Okay, and nor is anybody in this construction business. So we do our best to make sure we satisfy that homeowner. But there's certain homeowners that sometimes are just very, very difficult to work for, and we know that. Whether we put the roof on or a competitor put the roof on, they might just be a difficult homeowner to work for. But the challenge for us is to make sure in the end we satisfy that homeowner, and that they're happy when we leave that job. So some of the things that we put into place to assure that those things happen is before the process begins, due to the salesman selling the job, of what to expect during the construction process, because the last thing I want that homeowner to do is not understand of what replacing a roof is like.
So your first step is set expectations.
Set that expectation that, and I almost put a little bit of the fear into them that, hey, this is major construction. I'm going to turn your world upside down for a day or two and put it all back together. And in the end, we're going to leave happy, and you're going to be so satisfied that you chose us. But there's parameters that we have to put in place to make sure that happens, from the salesperson setting the expectation of what to truly look out for and to be prepared for. And then we've got the team. Once the salesman leaves, it moves over to my production department, and they are always communicating with the homeowner during, before, and after the process of what to expect when we're delivering materials, when we're starting the project, when we'll be arriving, what the crew foreman's name is, and the first thing that happens when that foreman shows up there is he meets and greets the homeowner, walks around with the property, shows them what's happening, what's going on, and talks to them during the process.
Gotcha.
And once the job is completed, he meet and greets the homeowner once again, and they do another follow-up and walk around the property making sure the homeowner is satisfied. And if there is any concerns, that way we handle those concerns at that point in time. But these homeowners nowadays can be very, very difficult, so we try to stop it ahead of time and make sure that they're satisfied. And I think the biggest thing is you just got to make them understand what the expectations should be and what it should look like. So,
well, it's obvious that you're doing a good job because you have 158 5-star reviews on just the Google directory alone, not including other directories like Facebook and so on and so forth. Which is 300-400% of what most of your competitors or anyone else in your industry has.
Yeah, I don't even think anybody's even close to that.
Yeah.
So we really put a huge focus on that, and we ask for the review at every job. So our staff, our employees, our foremen, our crews, our delivery companies, our distributors, they know that at the end of that job that Premier Roofing's asking that customer to review us.
Yeah.
It's the very last thing that we do.
And you're not just asking for someone to tell you the good things you did. You want people to tell you
feedback.
so you can get better.
Right. We're not that guy calling our friends and saying, hey, put a Google review on us.
Right.
We are asking that homeowner when we're done with that job, please review us. And let us know what we did and or didn't do. But you can see with our reviews that I think 99.9% of our customers are satisfied.
Yeah.
Are we perfect? No. Do we make mistakes? Yes. Do we fix them? Yes.
Absolutely.
And that's the biggest issue. If you do have a problem, just fix it.
Right.
That's right.
Just fix it. And
I think when you and I first met, you asked me, and a lot of clients do, or a lot of prospective clients ask, and I know Mike has fielded this question a bunch as well. What happens if there's a problem? And my first answer is there's going to be. There's going to be a problem, right? It's how you handle the problem.
Absolutely. Don't hide.
Right.
That's right.
That's your differentiator. It's how you handle the problem. If I tell clients all the time, if you don't have any problems, you're not doing enough business.
That's right.
Absolutely. And it's funny, on my way over here, I was talking to my sales manager. We were talking about doing this show today, and one of the things that we talked about, he had come over from one of our competitors, and he said, the amazing thing about you and your company and your staff and your wife that's involved, if there is an issue, y'all hone in on that issue. Don't let it fester. Don't ignore it. We jump into it immediately and try to solve it.
I love that.
If you'll do that sometimes those problems become a good problem.
Yeah, and sometimes that customer that's upset because of that problem becomes one of your biggest advocates.
Absolutely. Because, let's face it, I've told you this a million times, what we do is difficult.
Yeah.
It's major construction.
Yeah.
So
you've talked a lot about roofs, right? So tell us, because you do shingle roofs, and there's all types of shingle roof, right? And then you also do metal roof. You do commercial roofing, residential roofing. Just talk to me about the differences in different kinds of roofing and all of that type of stuff.
Well, we could talk for days about the different kind of roofs, from shingles, and there's so many different styles of shingles from just a regular 3-tab shingle to an architectural shingle to what we call a designer shingle. That's more of a slate style shingle that gives you the slate effect, but it's still a granulated product. So we do a lot of those with metal valleys and copper valleys, and seems like we're doing a lot of copper roofs right now, or copper accents, and that's kind of the in thing right now on metal. So we're doing a tremendous amount of metal work now. When I say metal, it's typically not a full metal roof, but we do those also, but it's more metal accents. Where somebody says, hey, I've got shingles on my porch, but I want to remove that, do the rest of the house in shingles and put metal on the porch, and we accommodate that customer. We've done probably 5 that way this week. And it just sets the roof off when you do that little stand-in seam. And we got a fabrication shop now at our warehouse, and we've got guys that are fabricating the metal and installing it in-house. So we're not even, we're ordering it from our distributors, the metal, but we're fabricating it in our shop and installing it ourselves. So that part of our business has tremendously grown here recently. The flat part of our business is starting to really grow. We're doing more commercial work, from TPOs to EPDMs to a lot of coating work too. There's a lot of silicone coatings that are going on now on these older roofs, metal type flat roofs or modified bitumens that are wore out. A lot of times, as long as the core sample in that roof is in good shape, we can coat it now.
So the homeowners know which roofs they want, or are you making suggestions, or like all of the things you were just talking about right there? Is that you get up there and figure out what their needs are? Who's driving those decisions?
Most of the time it's us as the sales guys. Most homeowners don't really know what they want. Now on new construction they do. They have a pretty good idea of what they want. On a residential tear-off roof that's an existing home, we try to give them ideas and take a visualizer and take a picture of their home and set what their roof could look like if we put these designer shingles on here, or if we did a metal accent on the front porch. And it just kind of differentiates ourselves between us and our competition by doing that and showing them what we can do before and after and what that's going to look like.
So you're able to actually show them.
Oh, absolutely. We can
incredible.
take their house and put it a shingle application on there on a visual or on an iPad and show it to them what it would look like, different colors. What if we did metal on the front porch, which is pretty neat. So it helps the homeowner decide on what style shingle to put on there, because everybody's got a regular 3-tab or an architectural, but most people don't have a designer shingle or slate style shingle or a metal accent on the roof.
And those really make
it makes it pop.
It makes the whole thing just
makes
stand out.
it pop. I got an email from a homeowner that we just did that one last week for him on the lake, and it's a contemporary style house with a front porch that she had shingles on, and the rest of the house was 2-story, and we put shingles on the 2-story and put a metal roof on the front. And she sent me a picture of the house from the front of it with the metal roof on the front and the shingles up top, and it was just totally transformed the look of that house.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. It's mind-boggling how many different types of roof products and looks, because I know have different colors, right? The shingles you can do different colors with those, and so it is. I've seen a lot of we've been on video shoots with you and seen a lot of that and taking a lot of images, and just looking at that, it's just like, wow, it's amazing. I've always wondered who was driving that, if you were coming up and saying, I have an idea for you here or there. When we come back from break, we're going to go to break, and we come back from break, I also want to talk to you a little bit about non-roofs, because I know with you
non-roofs?
guys, non-roofs, like non-roofing type of conversation. And the reason why is because I know you do a lot of things like gutters and siding and windows and other things that seems natural that would go along with a roof. So we're going to discuss that when we come back. So you're listening to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Welcome back to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Today's topic is diving deeper, an inside look at a small business, running it, sustaining it, maintaining it, all about a small business. And we have a special guest here with us today, Miller Robinson with Premier Roofing. Mike, right before break, we were talking about all types of roofs, but I think you were going to dive a little bit deeper into that conversation.
Yeah, Miller. So, in most businesses, you'll have kind of your lead product, your lead service, but those that grow like yours have, I know that you have other products and services that you also offer, and they're kind of a natural progression. And so we're always looking, how do we add more value to our customers? And I know that you do the same. How do you do that? Like beyond the roofs, what else do you help a customer with?
Well, when I started this company years ago, before I was a roofer, I was a residential builder. So we're able to do basically anything on the exterior of the home or anything. I could build a home if I wanted to. Don't necessarily want to do that. But we have really honed in on the exterior of somebody's home. And obviously, if we've been to the customer's home, we've replaced their roof, they're extremely pleased with us. Why not check with Premier if they need windows, or if they were interested in gutters, or if they wanted to change their masonite siding to hardy plank, something a little less maintenance. And so we'll offer those different options to them. We try to sell gutters as a way to picture frame your home. You know, a lot of people don't understand what a gutter can do. You know, if you put the right color gutter on a home with the right color shingle, it will literally picture frame that house. And so I sell gutters, and I've trained my guys to sell gutters. Hey, we're going to put these gutters on and we're going to picture frame your house.
So you can really transform the aesthetics of it.
You can transform it. It was the lady that sent me an email earlier about where we did the metal accent on the front of her house. Well, she prefaced that email by saying, hey, I want to put in the gutters on the front of the house that match the metal roof.
Okay.
So we're going to do that for her now. And so it just parlays into different things. And, you know, we're really starting to focus on marketing the window side of our company. We've been installing windows for years. We just haven't done a whole lot of marketing on it.
Right.
It just kind of comes to us from customers that we've already done work for. And quite often when we go to these older homes that got wooden windows that aren't energy efficient, and we replace the roof with more of an energy efficient type shingle, why not go ahead and get these windows energy efficient?
Yeah, absolutely.
And put in something such as a vinyl energy efficient window that's got low E and argon filled, and something that's going to really help them on their energy cost and not allow that draft to come through there. And less maintenance.
Do you find that when a roof has kind of reached its age, it's not a storm didn't hit it and destroy it, it's just aged out? Is that also a common time when windows or some of the windows may need some attention?
Yeah, absolutely. There gets to a point in time when the roof is aged out, the windows have aged out, and we can go in there and offer a total package for them, you know, and it becomes more of a retail type product, and they're paying that out of their pocket to upfit their home and make it look nice again. It's amazing the transformation that a roof and windows can do to a home.
Yeah.
I mean, it truly is. And so getting that homeowner to visualize that sometime is very, very difficult because most people can't see it. They really can't. So we bring all the samples to them, the windows to them, the shingles to them, and we put it on the house. Literally, we have nailed shingles on people's roofs so they can see what it looks like.
I gotcha.
You know, and we can lay a decent sized window up against their old wooden windows so they can see the difference. And one of our selling features now is back in the day when windows were installed, they all had grids. We call them 6/6 or 8/8, little square grids.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, all that does is block your view.
Yeah.
You know, those have kind of gone away. Most people are doing clear glass. They want to look out to the outside.
Right.
And so we share the clear glass to them and say, listen, we're going to open your view up to your outside. And so it becomes more of a selling feature for us.
Now, on your gutters, you know, there's a lot of different types of gutters, right? Of how the water drains off and how the debris drains off and things of that nature. Talk to me a little bit about your gutters.
Yeah, typically what we're installing is minimum of 5-inch or 6-inch gutter. There's all kinds of different gutters out there. There are even some 4-inch gutters. We won't do a 4-inch gutter. You typically won't capture enough of the water.
Okay.
There's some different brands out there, such as your leaf guards that are franchises. But we typically install a 6-inch gutter with either a leaf helmet or a leaf solution product to keep, you know, the leaves, pine needles, shingle granules, everything out.
Okay.
It just depends on which application is right for that location.
For that roof.
Absolutely.
And a lot has to do with the pitch of the roof.
A lot of it's got to do with the pitch of the roof. A lot of it's got to do with whether they got pine trees. If you got pine trees around the property, those needles are very, very small. And if you just put a metal screen up there, all it did was clog it. So, you know, you got to have something that's not going to allow those needles to penetrate.
If a homeowner or even business owner, right, because you do both residential and commercial roofing, if a homeowner or business owner wants or is thinking that they want a new roof or need a new roof or even a roof repair, what do you recommend they do? How do you recommend they choose who they're going to do business with? Obviously, other than the fact to just call Miller Robinson at Premier Roofing, which we would recommend.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, how would you go about suggesting how they would research and know?
It's a challenge for us, especially the good guys that are licensed and bonded and insured and have been checked out by the Better Business Bureau. I tell homeowners, you know, check me out.
Yeah.
You know, here's my LLR license. Here's my contractor's license. I'm not just a roofing license. I'm a residential builder. and have been for years with the LLR. Call the LLR and check me out. Call the Better Business Bureau and check that company out. Make sure that they've got decent ratings with the Better Business Bureau, then they don't have multiple complaints. Make sure they've got insurance. Number one. If Chuck in a truck shows up and he has no insurance, if somebody falls off that roof and is injured, that homeowner is getting sued.
And insurance in your industry is pretty costly.
And insurance in my industry, most roofers cannot afford it.
Yeah.
It's minimum 23 to 40% on the dollar. I tell all homeowners, you've got to do your homework on that company and make sure that they've been certified with whatever shingle they're installing, and that all of their installers have been trained by the shingle manufacturer, and that they've done their homework to make sure that they're going to get a quality company replacing their roof, because replacing your roof, like HVAC, is two of the biggest investments you're going to make in your home, other than remodeling the kitchen. But on the exterior, the roof and the HVAC are usually the two most expensive things. And
what's
you
the
want
life
it done
cycle?
right.
What's the life cycle on a shingle roof?
It depends on the shingle.
Okay.
3 tab is 20 years. Architectural's basically 30.
Okay.
You got some higher end architecturals and designer shingles that get up to 50 years.
Oh wow.
They're all the manufacturers have gone to lifetime shingles now.
Right.
How about the metal roof?
Metal roof, it depends. Really, what your warranty on the metal is the finish.
Okay.
And you got different finish warranties out there, from a 30-year finish to a 40-year finish to a 50-year finish, or you just got a little 29 gauge 20-year finish panel, which is an exposed fastener, but we hardly do any of those. Most of ours is the heavier gauge 24 gauge copper type 50-year Kynar finishes.
Well, we've talked a lot about your business and your industry and a small business in your industry. If someone was wanting to start a small business, like a roofing company or a small business service related type of business, Miller, what's some of the steps, and Mike, you touched base on this a little while ago, walking him down memory lane of what was it like when he first got started. But what are some of the steps that you would recommend from one business to another of how they would go about getting a business started like this?
Well, in our industry, you got to get licensed.
Okay.
Number one, you got to get insurance.
So credentials.
You got to get credentials. You've got to get certified with a manufacturer. Nowadays, that's difficult.
And we're assuming experience. I'm assuming this is an experienced person coming in.
Well, if they're an experienced person, I said earlier that you got to grow organically. Or if you've got enough cash behind you, that might be a little bit different, that you could start with a splash media and help launch your business. But be prepared that when you create that environment out there where people know about you through Google, it's going to change your world. Yeah. And if you do it right, trust me, there's companies out there that don't do it right. I've been there and paid for things that didn't work. But do your homework on that. Make sure you hire the right company and that can support you on your marketing side, and it'll help you from there. And then hire right. You just got to hire right. Make sure you got the right crews, the right laborers, and the right staff.
I know that you're also heavily involved in network marketing, right? So I know that's that organic that you were talking about, being present, showing up, being involved organically. You're members of the Chamber of Commerce, and there's always another Chamber of Commerce. There's like a bunch of Chamber of Commerce like all over the place. So picking the right one to join where your target market really is very important. So I know that man, you spent a lot of time, money, and effort getting your business to where it's at. I'm super stoked that you told me a minute ago you've gone from, let's say, a couple million to $6.5–7 million just in the time where we've had a relationship over the last 3 years. I'm super stoked for you and Leslie and your whole team over there at Premier Roofing. I can't wait until you're $20 million.
Right.
Won't be long.
You can have some more gray hairs.
Right, a little more.
Yeah.
That's
well,
right.
We're proud of you, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I appreciate y'all's help. It's been a blessing.
Well, thanks, Miller. Thanks for joining us on the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike, and we look forward to our next show. Take care.
Awesome.